Good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Rangers Review morning briefing. It is Monday, the 12th of May. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by Chris Jack. How goes it, Chris?
All good. We're almost there, and thankfully we have a rare Rangers victory at Ibrox to talk about. Myself and Josh had the post-match show yesterday, but still plenty of talking points for us to get into this morning before we start previewing Dundee United, Hibs, and it should be a fairly interesting summer, I think it's safe to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And plenty to get our teeth stuck into before we do that. A quick word for our podcast sponsors, as ever, S1 Jobs. If you're looking to hand in your transfer request, folks, head over to S1 Jobs and upload your CV today. There are thousands of jobs across Glasgow, Edinburgh and the surrounding areas. You'll find the one at S1 Jobs. Scott says no Twitter notification this morning, Derek. I've just popped it out, Scott, so apologies for that. I was doing a number of things in the morning behind the scenes, and that slipped my mind, but it's now on there, Scott, so better late than never. Anyway, you were at Ibrox yesterday, of course, a game of two halves, Chris. Bit of a drab first half from Rangers. Certainly when I seen the team, I was thinking, knocks the stuffing out of you a little bit, because you are wanting to see maybe some fringe players, some more young lads getting an opportunity. It wasn't the case. But it was much improved in the second 45. Nico Raskin, excellent. 2 assists. The pass for Czerny for the opener was fantastic. Sets up Dessers for goal number 2. The goal of the bunch was Hamza Igaman's volley from the area. Absolutely superb. Just shows you what he is capable of. And Jefty with a screamer to round things off, directing a Czerny shot into the back of the net. Aberdeen well and truly thumped at Ibrox. And Barry Ferguson gets his long-awaited home win. Chris, that's that monkey off his back. You touched on it there. You were on the show with Joshua yesterday. Did we learn anything from the game yesterday?
In terms of things we learned, probably not. In terms of positives, I think Raskin's performance again, as Colin says there, I think Igaman's goal was certainly a positive. Nice for Jefty to get that screamer, as you said. I'm sure that'll mean a lot for him to get his first goal for the club. But in terms of learning anything, I don't think so. It wasn't really a side that was picked to learn anything. You look at Suter and Balogun at the back. You look at the same midfield three. You look at Bayrami playing. You look at Dessers playing. You were never really going to learn anything new. I thought the only things that you do learn is that Bailey Rice again looked comfortable when it came on. Looked good. I know Barry spoke quite interestingly about him after the game. We know that Igamane is capable of those moments. I don't think we've learned that from yesterday, but it certainly shows once again what a talent he is, and that he's got so much potential, and that he's one of the guys you have to try and build this squad round about. So I don't think there was anything major takeaways. The first half was up there with some of the worst that we've seen. There's quite a long list of worst 45s over the course of the season, but that yesterday it would almost get football stopped. It was absolutely terrible. Second half, I think it's Barry out.
We appear to have lost Chris. He's frozen in time there. Hopefully we can get him back. What he was touching on was it was certainly a game of two halves. Barry said as much in his post-match interview, certainly with Sky. He said, I wasn't happy at half-time. There wasn't enough energy about us. Aberdeen didn't cause us any problems, but I expected more. I had to make a change, and I demanded we started getting runners from midfield and make Aberdeen think a wee bit. The second half, that's more like it. That's what I want to see from my team. Moving into next season, whoever's in charge, that's what the performances have to be. And there's good players in there. They just need a kick up the backside. I've given them a few, but they've responded. They certainly responded at halftime. It's a frustration. I've got a lot of anger about it. I said to them at halftime, they frustrate the living daylights out of me because I know it's in there. How could I put it? It annoys me that I have to go through them a wee bit, but they responded, that's what you're looking for. It's easy to go and hide away, and that's a worry at the back of your mind whether they can handle it, but they certainly handled the demands I put on them today. So that is what Barry had to say about that. Have we got Chris back there? I see his head moving a little bit. Yay! We've got we've got him back. But that's a frustration. Just what I was saying there about Barry's comments, Chris. How many times have we said that when Rangers have had to get a rocket up the backside of a number of them at half-time, and they almost waste a half? Don't think it's just solely this season. That's something that's been levelled at this sort of squad for maybe a few seasons now.
Been labelled at this group of players, been labelled at previous groups of players. If we're making the same point about the next group of players, then we know where Rangers are going to be in terms of the title. You can't afford to give up half a football like that. You can't afford to continually make that same mistake of not starting well. The recipe for domestic games is fairly simple. If you start with the right mentality and you start with the right approach and you go and you let your quality show, you score the first goal, you shouldn't be losing the game. You score the second goal, and that's you 9 times out of 10. That's you win the game. Rangers continue to make this harder for themselves than they should do. I think you saw yesterday, once they got the first goal, there was no chance Aberdeen were coming back. Second one goes in fairly quickly, and that was that. It was a case of how many did Rangers win by. I think Barry was right to say they could and should have won by more. You would take 4-0 at home to Aberdeen all day long, but it could easily have been 5-6, maybe even more. Like the dominance that Rangers had second half. I thought Aberdeen were largely dreadful for most of the game. And for a side who've got a cup final coming up and who still got things to play for in the Premiership, they had very, very little about them at all. So there was an opportunity for Rangers that they took. So they won 4-0, won comfortably. As you said at the top of the show, they got that Ibrox monkey off their back. I'm sure that will mean a lot to Barry. It's something else that he can take away from this interim period in charge. Just one more to go. He'll now be determined to try and finish on a high note. He won't want his last game at Ibrox to be a dull, drab draw or defeat to Dundee United. So I think we'll see another strong side. I don't imagine he'll mix it up too much come Wednesday night. A couple of changes here or there. I think Bayrami certainly drops out. Again, I'll bang the drum for Igamane to start at number 9, but wouldn't be surprised be surprised if it doesn't happen. So I think we'll see another strong side on Wednesday night, and hopefully they can give the Ibrox crowd something to take away into the summer.
Yep, we're going to touch on Danilo and more specifically Cortes in a minute. But that team that he announced yesterday, Chris, do you expect that sort of similar team for the two remaining games? It doesn't look, but we've been calling for some players to get minutes. Doesn't look like Barry's going to shift on that. He's sticking with the sort of tried and tested guys that he's going with. I know that when he took over from Clement, we're all thinking, there'll be a lot of changes. Haven't been many really. It's not anyone really that's came out from the cold and staked a claim really. No, and
I think it's always been one of the dangers of having someone like Barry in the dugout, and it's no real criticism of him. It was just natural. He would obviously want to win as many games as possible. Now, I think at the start he had the aspiration of becoming Rangers manager on a full-time basis. I think that aspiration has steadily been whittled away over the weeks, but he still knows what it means to play for this club, to represent this club, to win for this club. So he's not going to put out a side that he thinks is not at the required level, that's not befitting of the badge. The flip side of that, which I fully understand, is we need to learn a bit more about these players. There's certain guys in this squad we still don't know if they're good enough to be part of this group heading into next season. So it's this kind of quandary that you're in, and I think if there had been a more settled boardroom, a director of football, a sporting director in there, they could then maybe lean on Barry and say, look, we really need you to give Cortes a game, give Danilo a game. You need to be playing Igamane at centre forward rather than playing him off the side. We need to see more of Inciala. We want to give Bailey Rice X number of starts. We want to give Finlay Curtis so many minutes. There's other academy players that we'd like to see involved, even just in terms of the matchday squad. Rangers don't really have that figure who can then go to the manager and lean on him a wee bit in terms of his team selections, especially at a time. Now, you wouldn't do that for an Old Firm game. You couldn't go to Barry and tell him how to pick a team for a European game against a Fenerbahce or Athletic. for some of the domestic games, someone should have said to him, look, there's a bigger picture here. Rangers don't really have that structure. They don't have that way of working at present. So ultimately, what Barry says goes, as is his right. He's a Rangers manager, but I don't think it's maybe been the best thing for him overall and for the club. And these feel like a bit of a wasted opportunity. But as he mentioned when I asked him about Oscar Cortes yesterday, he'll come back and say players need to be earning their spots. Players need to be impressing me in training if they're going to get in my team. So I do completely get it from his point of view, understand where he's coming from. I just think it feels like these games do feel like a bit of a missed opportunity for Rangers in some regards.
Yeah, well, just on that, you asked him about Cortes. He was an unused substitute at the weekend. God knows what's going on there, but this is what Barry had to say on that.
A couple of weeks ago about Oscar and about Danny. I look at people on the train and I have to make decisions. So will Oscar get an opportunity before the end of the season? Maybe. Danny has had an opportunity. That's more like Danny when I seen him coming on. But it's not just about Danny and Oscar, but everybody keeps asking me about. There's a lot of players that are not getting much game time, but you need to earn your right to play. You just don't play for the sake of playing. You have to earn the right to be certainly in my team.
So there you go, Chris. You have to earn the right to be in my team. Now, Barry, notoriously as a player, I've spoke to some of his ex-teammates, and he was so hard in training. Trained how he played, very demanding. Now, this sort of sets a few alarm bells off for me about Oscar Cortes. Not even getting on the pitch is a worry, given the outlay. If he was just a loan, he was getting sent back, fair enough, a la that sort of, I'd imagine, Rafa Fernandez style. But Rangers have sort of shelved a substantial amount of money to pay for this lad. And from reading what Barry is saying here, he's not doing anywhere near enough to get on the park at this point. Is that a Barry thing, or is it down to the player here in this case? Is he not doing enough to show why? Well, clearly in Barry's eyes, he's not doing enough to show why he merits even 10 minutes on the park.
Again, I do understand where Barry's coming from. Completely get that point of view. I think a number of people will make the point of how many of these guys have really been at the level to play week after week in this Rangers side. Performance levels across the board have not been good enough over the course of the season. Even during Barry's term, the performances in general for most of it have not been at the required standard. But there's a number of guys who have played week after week. So I think that'll be the counterpoint that a number of people will make. On Cortes, it doesn't bode very well. If you can't do enough to get in this side at this time when there is nothing to play for, when there's clearly a space on that left-hand side that's crying out for someone with a bit of pace and it's got a bit of attacking intent, if you're not the man and if you're not shown that you're the man for that role, it doesn't bode very well. It's been a write-off of a season for Cortes. He's nearly 18 months into being a Rangers player. Still don't know anywhere near enough about him in terms of what he can actually bring to this side. And that price tag, that $4.5 million, it's going to be a stick to beat Rangers with for quite some time until he shows that he's worth every single penny of it. He's only going to get the chance to do that if he plays. He's only going to get the chance to play if he shows it to Barry in training. It doesn't sound like he's going to go and play 180 minutes over the course of the week, does it? I'd imagine he'll be in the squad for both games, but you're maybe getting 10, 15 minutes now if Barry sticks with what he's been sticking with. It's hard to see Cortes starting these games or getting a lot of game time in it. So it then becomes a huge summer for him. He has to really head into the summer, refocus, regroup, and come out of it heading into pre-season in 6 weeks or so in the best shape of his career. It has to be flying heading into pre-season under the new manager. because the first couple of months of next season are so important for Cortes. If he doesn't make an impression under the new boss in those opening weeks, people will just write him off, and it's already potentially a long way back for him. I think if he doesn't start next season well, that becomes an impossible journey for him to actually take.
Yep. Apologies, folks, for the sound level on Barry there. It was a bit low, but the big point you said, there's a lot of players that are not getting much game time, but you need to earn your right to play. You don't just play for the sake of playing. You have to earn the right to be in my team. So it's clear he's not earning the right to be in his team. He's been fit for weeks now. We've seen him at Pataudry, hooked at half-time, and that's been pretty much it. I've grave concerns about this deal, Chris. I think Rangers have jumped into this two-footed, and jury very much out. I mean, Lons loaned them out after they just arrived there. A few months later, Rangers had taken them on loan. Suffered that horrific injury, Rugby Park, wasn't it? I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. He's struggled ever since to get up to speed with his fitness. He is a young guy, of course, but I think this looks like a colossal waste of money at this point in time.
I think he's definitely got something. You don't have the reputation that he does have. He was really highly rated in his homeland. He came through and played a number of international games. He was a big part of the under-23 squad. Had a bit of success. He does have something. He is a player that people at various points in his career have thought there's definitely something there. The move to France, it didn't really seem like the right fit. We had a big piece on the website not long after Rangers signed him, going through his early days and his breakthrough seasons and that move. The two clubs, Milan Aros and Lons, they're part of the same ownership group, so it was a move that was facilitated by that. They were just keen to get him into Europe, and then they thought he would then kick on. As far as I recall, went into a side there that wasn't playing that well and didn't play a system that actually suited him, therefore found his game time limited. Like when Rangers then signed him on loan, you're taking a wee bit of a chance, you're perhaps taking a bit of a punt to bring him in to see what you can get out of him for 6 months. When you then commit the fee to him, though, that takes it into a different type of deal, that takes it into a different realm. £4 million, regardless of who the owners are and what the budget is, £4 million is a lot of money for Rangers. And if you're going to spend that on a player, you need to be as sure as can be that they're going to have an impact. Of course, there's no guarantees, there's no 100% sure things. But if you're going to put that money into a player, especially an attacking player that can be a game changer, a match winner, you need to be confident that he can go and repay that. Cortes has not come anywhere near it. So he has had, like you mentioned, his injury issues. It's not been an easy 18 months or so for him. It's a number of things to deal with. So hopefully this summer, the fresh start just all round about the club, hopefully that can give him a bit of a reset in terms of his career, because he's certainly got a long way to go at this club.
Yeah, the thing is, see if it was Czerny, Rangers had an obligation to buy, you'd be going, right, brilliant, great deal. But we've seen nothing from this lad, and it baffles me why they went in and pumped up the money that they're going to pay for him. It just beggars belief for me, but there you go. I was thinking actually over the weekend, I know sort of not getting game time, so hit the headlines about Cortes. I was thinking about South. I mean, he's a young lad. He's coming from Colombia over to Europe for the first time. He's clearly having a tough time of it. Just thinking, how many South Americans have been a success at Rangers over the years? Morelos and Canija, for me, standouts. That aside, very little. They've had a good number of South Americans join the club. I think Amato, loved Amato, but he was in and out the side. Is there anyone else I've missed there, Chris? South America, Rosenthal got injured pretty much straight away, which was hugely unfortunate. Emilson Kribari, less said about him, the better. Anyone else?
You're not a big fan of Emerson back in the day, no?
Thank you for the goal at Panathinaikos, and that is it.
No, I think it's a market that Rangers are clearly looking at. They are keen to try and shop in different areas of of the world. Josh has had a couple of pieces on the site explaining their new recruitment strategy, why they're not scouting the Championship, why they're not going to go after Championship players, why they're looking to try and get into different markets. The problem when you do that, the further afield you go, the more difficult it is then for players to actually make that move. You look at someone like Igamane, again, made a piece on the site a couple of weeks ago, detailing his early years and how he's made that move. And it took him a bit of time, because you're coming into a different country, a new club, completely different culture. There's also language issues, and it's not going to be for everyone. Not every player will be able to actually, no matter how long you give them or what type of team they're going into, some players will just not be able to handle that. Other players, it will take them a bit of time. Other players will come in, hit the ground running, and just be stars straight away. So I wouldn't completely rule out Rangers going back into markets like that, and I certainly wouldn't be against it. Again, you look at the success Celtic have had in the Asian market, and some of the Japanese players also have made a huge impact there. Just because you don't
got them cheap,
that they're not spending £4 million a shot on them.
No,
that's the thing. That's the big the big thing that's against Cortes now. If it had been a loan, or Rangers had paid £1 million for him, and it was a bit of a punt, you could always talk your way out of it. At £4 million, that's not a punt for Rangers, and that's the problem. So I don't have an issue with them trying to spread the radar as far as possible and go and try and pick up players from different areas of the game. So it can work. I don't think it's worked for Cortes in this scenario. You have to say it has worked for Igamane. It's maybe a case of some you win, some you lose, but £4 million would be a sore loss for Rangers if this one didn't work out. So a lot for Cortes to prove, and a lot of people at the club really need him to work out.
Absolutely. Big shout out to our good Rangers friend from Italy. Leonardo says, "Buongiorno from Roma. Greetings from the Italian Gers RSC." Hopefully you're well, Leonardo. Got an interesting interview coming up this week, folks. So keep your eyes peeled for that over on the YouTube channel. Sky Willie says, "Morning, great to catch the live show. Often watch the recording. Like and subscribe all." Absolutely, Willie. If you're not a subscriber, folks, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's the only way you can get a comment into it, myself and Chris as well, if you are a subscriber. So make sure you hit that button. You touched on Raskin, Igamane, of course, with his brilliant goal. This is an interesting point. Derek Chris, if Raskin and Igamane are sold this summer, how much do you think the club could bring in? I would be wanting 30 million plus. Chris?
Per player? Is that per player or combined?
I think if Rangers get 30 million for the pair of them, I think that's decent money, is it not?
I think it's more than decent money, and it's more than a tidy profit, considering what they've made. Is it 1.5 or so for Raskin, and about 2 million or slightly less than that for Igamane. The Raskin situation, as myself and Josh touched on post-match yesterday, the Raskin situation is an unfortunate one for Rangers. He's finally shown the consistency of form, and finally shown the level that I think people always believed he could get to. But it's coming at this strange time in his contract, and Rangers really need him to either sign an extension and commit himself to the club, or they have to make a hard decision, and he has to move on. If he is to move on, you're looking at a substantial fee, because he's not just for the form that he showed for Rangers, not just because of the profile and the age and the number, the improvement he's still got. That Belgium cap, that international exposure a couple of months ago, that's a big selling point. Clubs are now looking at him saying, well, he's had that recognition, he can play at that level. He was also given such a high level of praise after that as well. So I think if Raskin does move on, Rangers are looking at a really, really tidy profit on him. It would be a bit of a blow though, because for me, he's the type of guy you just go and try and build this side round about. If you can get him to commit, try and convince him that there's better times ahead, that there will be investment in this squad, you almost have to sell him the American dream, if you like, and say, give us another couple of seasons and commit to it. Give us at least another year, but give us a year with that new contract already signed. perhaps go and build that midfield round about him. I know the captaincy issue will come up. People will say, go and give him the armband if that's what it takes. Do it, because I think Raskin is the type of guy that Rangers can really, they'll really benefit from remaining. You don't want to go and have to rebuild an entire team. There's not many of these players that you would say they're definite starters for next season. Raskin and Igamane, if they're still at the club, they're all but nailed on starters come that first day of the new campaign. So both of them, I think the fans would love to see them stay. Will it happen? Time will tell.
Yep, I hope the pair of them stay, incidentally, and they don't move on. But a number of players, of course, will be heading out the door, and I would hope that Rangers would be expecting top dollar for them if they are to move. We'll touch on this bit of news over the weekend, Chris, with regards, of course, to the managerial search. Blair with the point says that any truth in the rumours of Davide Ancelotti being linked with the manager's role. This came from the Italian-based transfer guru Gianluca Di Marzio over in Italy. I think a few others over there as well, suggesting that a number of clubs are interested in Carlo's son as taking over. The likes of Como, if Cesc Fabregas is to depart, said to be keen on him. And there's other teams said to be interested in him. Now, he's assistant to Carlo. Actually watched a wee bit of the game yesterday, El Clasico over there. A bit of a thriller. Barcelona won in the end. But it looks like he wants to carve his own career in management. Would you be for this or not?
One of a number of names that have been put to us over the last week or so, and one of a number of names that it's on today's to-do list to check out. So I can't rule him in or out at present, but I say it's on the to-do list to try and track down a couple of people that may be able to give us a bit of insight into where Rangers are heading managerial wise. It's a name I wasn't expecting to pop up. It's a bit of a left field one, but obviously when he started moving on from Madrid, I think Xabi Alonso has almost been announced as Madrid manager this morning. He started moving on. It makes sense for him to kind of go and, as you say, try and forge his own path. We don't know what his man management is like. We don't know if he's just there because of who his dad is. It's too hard to tell if he's going to be the heir to the Ancelotti throne or not. Interesting, a couple of clubs are being put forward. With it, but some ones you can almost just completely rule out. Other ones you think, no, there may well be something in that. But so that's my task for today. So as always, I will report back as soon as we have anything.
Yep. Nicolo Schira, who's another Italian transfer journalist, who says Rangers and 2 Spanish clubs have shown interest in him as coach for the next season. So certainly seems to be in demand. The issue that I have would be there is no real previous experience in a role, especially at a club like Rangers. It's a big gamble. But Steven Gerrard never had any experience, did he? So it's a tough one. It certainly is left field. You would be able to call on his famous father, I guess, for any help should he need it. I'm just trying to think of any. I mean, Darren Ferguson and Sir Alex is the famous one. Darren carved a pretty decent career in the lower leagues in England. And trying to think if there's anyone else that's been a manager, son, father, managerial sort of careers. Can you think of anyone, Chris?
Not off the top of my head. I'm sure there will be other examples. As you were speaking of the Ferguson one before you mentioned that was the one that popped into mind. I'm sure there are other examples. I see we don't know what his style's like. We don't know how good he is. The players now has obviously been at some big clubs, has worked with some of the biggest players in the game. So you can't critique that side of it away. But it's a very different job being on your dad's coaching staff. A very different job then coming into a club like Rangers and being asked to go and lead the type of job that Rangers have on their hands next year. So one of a number of names that's been doing the rounds, and one of a number of interesting ones.
Yeah, and how could I forget? Lots of comments coming in, and Alex and many others says Nigel Clough. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think he's at Mansfield now, Nigel Clough. He's also done well in the lower leagues in England. Not quite hit the dizzy heights that his father did, but who could really? He was one of a kind. So yeah, interesting, as Chris said there, folks. Keep your eyes peeled on the website, and also make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel as well. If there's anything breaking, any developments with regards to the managerial search, you'll be first to know here at the Rangers Review. Right, before we go, before I forget, that today is the final day to be in with a chance of winning this signed and framed Ali McCoist Rangers jersey that Joshua is very kindly posing next to there. If you want to be in with a chance of winning that, all you have to do is sign up to the website. It's only £1 for 6 months, so it's cracking value. Head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe to sign up. You have until midnight tonight, so today is the final day. Existing subscribers automatically entered into the draw. So yeah, good luck to whoever wins that wonderful prize. That would look good up behind you, Chris.
I don't think I'm allowed to enter, unfortunately. I think the T's and C's on the website probably ban me from entering, and if that shirt was to pop up on my wall behind me, I think people would be asking questions about our particular regulations. So it's a cracking prize, and I'm sure whoever is lucky enough to win it, it will go nicely on whatever wall they decide to put it on. So yeah, actually expertly posed there by the gaffer, and if it appears on his bedroom wall, then further questions will be being asked as well.
Super stuff. Right, excellent. Thank you for tuning in, folks. Those of you that are extra members on YouTube, we'll record our usual Q&A this afternoon, 2 p.m, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But if I don't speak to you, enjoy your Monday, whatever you are doing, and we'll chat again soon. Bye for now.